Another exciting young prospect is coming up to the major leagues for the San Francisco Giants as Patrick Bailey, their 2020 first-round pick, is a major leaguer.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. My name is Ben Kaspick, and on the show we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that's data-driven and rational, but also simple, passionate, and accessible to all. I'm a former contributor for the baseball statistics and analysis websites Beyond the Box Score and Rotographs. I've been podcasting about the Giants since 2015, and I'm a lifelong fan. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts, including YouTube. So check us out there if you haven't already, and please hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Today's episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB, and when you enter promo code LockedOnMLB, they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. And coming up on today's show, it was supposed to be another mailbag episode with some updates on some prospects. Well, guess what? There's some updates on some prospects that are more significant than the ones I was going to talk about, in that the Giants officially announced this morning that Patrick Bailey, their 2020 first-round pick, a catcher, all the controversy that came along with that, given that Joey Bart was in the system at the time as well, and was considered their best prospect. Patrick Bailey is coming up to the major leagues. Why? Because Joey Bart was placed on the 10-day injured list with a left groin strain. They also put Ross Stripling on the injured list. I don't think this is a phantom IL thing. He did exit from his last start with a low back strain, and so he goes on the 15-day IL. And in a corresponding move there, the Giants call up right-handed reliever Ryan Walker, who's just got a funky crossfire delivery and has had great results in Sacramento. And so some corresponding moves needed to be made here to open up spots on the 40-man, and they designated Cal Stevenson for assignment. Stevenson played a little bit in the majors with the Giants this season, but he's been DFA'd. And Heliot Ramos was recalled from Sacramento and placed on the 60-day injured list with a right oblique strain. So much to break down here, but the big story is Patrick Bailey getting called up to the major leagues. Bailey started out the season in Double-A, and a theme so far this season is not only that there's a lot of Giants prospects who are doing well and rebounding or coming out of nowhere and doing really well, but also aggressive promotions. And so for Bailey, he had never played in Double-A entering 2023. And they sent him to Double-A to start the year, and he played in 14 games there, did really well, and they made a quick promotion to Triple-A, where he's also played in 14 games. At both levels, he played 14 games and had 60 plate appearances and hit 2 homers. It was like identical in a lot of ways. And now he's in the major leagues. He's 23 years old, and so the youth movement continues. And is this just a temporary thing while Joey Bart is on the injured list? We actually addressed this kind of question yesterday on our mailbag episode. Somebody asked, when is Patrick Bailey going to come up? And I literally said, I believe it could be tomorrow if there's an injury to Bart or Sable, or it could be way down the line if Bart and Sable stay healthy and if Bart picks it up offensively. But the thing is, Joey Bart has not performed well offensively. Perhaps the groin strain that he's evidently been dealing with has affected his hitting. To his credit, to Bart's credit, his strikeout rate has been cut significantly to the point where I believed that if he got it to that level, that he would have a lot more success. But he just hasn't hit for any power so far this season. But what do the Giants have here in Patrick Bailey? Well, he is, someone who is considered an elite defensive catcher, and he can also really hit from the left side of the plate from, all reports. I haven't watched him play a ton, so that's the thing is for me, when I'm evaluating minor leaguers, it's often just numbers and not actually watching them. Whereas when I evaluate major leaguers, it really helps to get to watch them on a daily basis. And so we're going to pull up Patrick Bailey's minor league splits because, he's a switch hitter, which is significant, but he is significantly better from the left side from what I understand. So if we hit splits here on Baseball Savant, we can see that this season in, let's just say AA to start, he hit 167 with a 375 on base and a 167 slugging against left-handed pitching, which means he was batting from the right side. And in AAA against left-handed pitching, once again, identical. This is crazy. This doesn't even seem possible. He has the exact same slash line, 167, 375 on base, 167 slugging. That's crazy. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. I talked about how the numbers looked identical. Well, no, it was just the games played and plate appearances. Anyway, that's odd and bizarre. We're talking about a total between the two levels of just 24 plate appearances against left-handed pitching, so Bailey batting as a right-handed hitter. And however, against right-handed pitching in AA, meaning as a lefty for Bailey at the plate, he hit 381, 409 on base, 571 slugging, and in AAA, 222, 308 on base, 378 slugging. Small sample for, it's combined about 100 plate appearances. Did very well in AA and not so great in AAA, but he was still, like I said, it was only 14 games that he was there. And so, we could go back to previous seasons as well, but the general consensus, although he's a switch hitter, is that he's much better from the left side. And so with Bart on the IL, your two catchers now are two guys who, in Blake Sabol, he's a pure left-handed hitter, and then Bailey better from the left side. And so it's not like an obvious platoon situation, so it'll be very interesting when they're facing a left-handed pitcher. I would imagine that they go with the switch-hitting Bailey, but for now, I would imagine that you might see Bailey in the lineup tonight, and Blake Sabol possibly as the DH while Jock Peterson is on the injured list. That's what we've seen in some recent games, although they've also kind of used like Wilmer Flores in addition. So it'll be interesting to see who it is. And Blake Sabol obviously has that outfield versatility, but right now it's just Bailey and Sabol on the roster as the catchers. And so he can hit from the left side, we hope. Nothing is proven until you do it at the major league level. But the defense being so elite, and Alex Pavlovich consistently reporting that a lot of people in the decision makers for the Giants in camp viewed Bailey as their best defensive catcher. And what stuns me about that is that Roberto Perez was also in camp, and this guy is a multiple Gold Glove. He's a multiple Gold Glove award winner at the catcher position. And so if they're really talking about Patrick Bailey looks better to them than even a guy who's won a couple Gold Gloves at the catcher position, then perhaps they really have something special here. And so if you can also hit, even if it's just you're better from the left side, it's just exciting. Another exciting young player. And, Roger Munter, who's someone on Twitter who's very connected with following Giants prospects and talks to a lot of prospects, was tweeting out how Bailey has this kind of ability to lead a pitching staff kind of almost unparalleled. Of course, there are some guys around the game, Yadier Molina, Buster Posey, who have had that ability to just kind of have the total trust and confidence of their pitchers. But apparently Bailey has that quality as well, and just wants to know the pitchers better than they know themselves, is what Roger tweeted out after talking to Bailey and some of the pitchers that he's caught. And so anyway, coming up in just a minute, we'll continue to talk about Pat Bailey and what the plan is. And like when Joey Bart comes off the injured list, is it a given that you're just going to send this guy down, or is it possible that when Joey Bart comes off the injured list, he's the one who gets sent down. So we'll get to that, and we'll also talk about the reliever, the funky kind of sidewinding, cross-firing reliever Ryan Walker that the Giants called up today in addition to Bailey. So we'll get into that in just a minute. But before we do, this episode is brought to you by So Rare. Our new sponsor, So Rare, is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards, and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next-level competitions and rewards. So Rare recently partnered with MLB All-Stars Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez to serve as brand ambassadors. Head to sorare.com/lockedon, that's spelled SORARE.com, to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon to start playing today. All right, as promised, just more about what is going to happen with Patrick Bailey. Pat Bailey, I think he kind of goes by Pat. It's kind of like Anthony DeSclafani goes by Tony. There's a lot of that going on. So I think it's Pat Bailey. What's going to happen when Joey Bart comes off the injured list? Does Pat Bailey have a chance to stick on the roster? And Blake Sable's emergence as someone who can really hit, seemingly, has complicated the equation further. Thanks again for making Locked on Giants your first listen every day. Everydayers, on Monday, we're going to be breaking down a series against the Marlins. This is a Marlins team that has a better record than the Giants, but they are just vastly outperforming their run differential. And so I think I said this last time they played and it didn't play out that way, but you're just not going to do that all season long. The Marlins have a ridiculously good record in one-run games, and some of that is kind of luck, I think. And so hopefully that regression for Miami happens this weekend, and we'll be breaking it down on Monday and also talking about the major league debuts likely of Pat Bailey and Ryan Walker. The Giants play the Miami Marlins tonight at 7:15 Pacific. Catch every pitch of the Giants' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Giants. They're going to be facing righty Sandy Alcantara, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, but his numbers this year not so good. But still the reigning Cy Young Award winner, and I expect Pat Bailey in the lineup. So it's going to be a very interesting period. I mean, I don't know if Joey Bart only needs 10 days. Like maybe this groin injury is something, it's the 10-day IL, but that doesn't mean he'll be ready in 10 days. And so for the foreseeable future, you're going to see a lot of Pat Bailey behind the plate doing catching. And I think, it's exciting with Casey Schmitt already here, and you've got other guys. I think we're going to get to a few mailbag questions towards the end. And certainly I wanted to discuss Luis Matos, who's an outfielder who's made his way to AAA and got his first AAA hit last night and is a good defensive center fielder. So all of a sudden, there's just a lot of youth being transfused into the San Francisco Giants and just guys on the cusp of reaching the major leagues. And it's what fans have been wanting, I think, for a long time, but you've got to perform. Right? I mean, I think Joey Bart and Heliot Ramos got people excited, but they just haven't performed. And certainly Heliot Ramos has been a major disappointment, and he goes on the 60-day IL. It's kind of, and there's a mailbag question about him. Like, is this kind of indicating he's on the way out? Because a 60-day IL for an oblique is seems like a bit of a long time. And so maybe it was severe, or maybe it's just like, the writing is kind of on the wall that his time with the team could be running out. But in terms of, is Bailey going to stick? I think that he has a chance to do so, and he's going to get these opportunities to play. And so if he completely struggles at the plate specifically, because I wouldn't expect struggles behind the plate as a catcher, because of everything we've heard about his ability to not just the tangible stuff like framing and blocking and throwing and all that, but the intangibles of leading a staff. And so if he does all that defensively, he kind of doesn't need to hit. And that's kind of the story of Joey Bart. For all the attention that his bat gets for like its potential, it just hasn't played out that way. Joey Bart has not been a good hitter in his major league career, point blank. Like, there's just no denying that. And of course, the potential is there and the power potential is there. But for Bailey, like, yeah, if he just doesn't hit a lick and strikes out like 40% of the time and Bart is healthy, there's a chance you could see them kind of re-exchange the two and have Bart back and send Bailey down. And Bailey's obviously a guy, you know, he's got the 3 minor league options. And now that he's on the 40-man, if you send him back down, it just uses up one of the option years. And so anyway, the way I foresee it is that there is a chance that Pat Bailey sticks on the roster, and what it would mean for Joey Bart is just very unclear to me because, I mean, Blake Sable's, like I said, emergence as a guy who frankly has just hit a heck of a lot better than Joey Bart, which just goes to show you, like, prospect rankings and all that. You're talking about a guy who was available in the Rule 5 draft in Blake Sable, and he's been the better catcher between Joey Bart and Sable. I mean, defensively, definitely probably goes to Bart there, but at the plate, I mean, Sable has hit 280, 330 on base, 473 slugging. And as a Rule 5 guy, you cannot send him to the minor leagues. And so, you know, maybe you don't want to because he's contributing, but he's also an outfielder. But your outfield, you've got these veteran players who are kind of locked into spots in Mitch Haniger, Michael Conforto, Mike Yastrzemski in center, and when he's healthy, Austin Slater in a platoon there with Mike Yastrzemski. And so there's not really a spot for Sable, I guess DH right now, but when Jock Peterson comes back, so Sable, he kind of has to be a catcher to stick on the roster. And so suddenly if you've got Sable and you've got Bailey and you've got Bart, then which 2 of the 3 stick around? And so what I'm saying is if Pat Bailey performs well in this opportunity, during this opportunity he's going to get, then there's a chance when Bart is ready to come off the injured list that they, you know, activate him off the injured list and then send him to AAA because, as I said, he just hasn't hit in his major league career. And Bailey may be a better defender. So it's a good problem to have, but it's also a very interesting situation to follow. So anyway, I'm really excited to watch Pat Bailey and witness the defense and see what he can do, especially from the left side of the plate. And unlike Joey Bart, a guy known for like kind of having really, really good plate discipline and being, some have even called him like bordering on passive at the plate, which is being passive is not what you want, but we'll see. Like I said, I don't watch these guys a ton in the minors. We're just going off numbers. But in high A last year, 15% walk rate. This year in AA and AAA, over a 10% walk rate. And so a little more selectivity than the free swinging Bart, which I think fits the Giants mold a little bit more than Bart, who was inherited by this front office. They didn't pick him in the draft, and those free swinging ways are really not what they want their identity to be. And so that's kind of where it comes in. Like if Bailey has success offensively and is like selective and is a great defender, then it very well could be that Bart is the odd man out there, which would be a big deal. And so it's very interesting to follow. So we want to talk about Ryan Walker as well. The Giants bullpen has been one of the worst in the league when you just look at the raw numbers. It's a little bit misleading in my opinion because there are just a few guys who are clogging up the numbers. And I mean, yeah, the Giants have the worst, wins above replacement, which uses fielding independent pitching. They do have the National League's worst earned run average as a bullpen, but you know, you've got Ross Stripling and Sean Manaea clogging that up. You've also got Jacob Junis, who was so good last year with some bad numbers. Sean Jelly 13 and a third innings with a 10.13 ERA. And then you've got some guys like John Brebbia and Scott Alexander with ERAs in the fives, but peripheral numbers that suggest they deserve much better results, and guys with track records who I think will be just fine. And we've seen that in recent days where John Brebbia he's striking out a ton of guys. The fielding independent pitching for Brebbia is 2.30 and his ERA is 5.4. And so I think I expect a lot of guys to just kind of normalize in the pen, but also it's obviously an area where they could use some help. Enter Ryan Walker getting this opportunity. He is a reliever who, in a very difficult league in which to pitch, had a 0.89 ERA in AAA Sacramento this season. And so coming up in just a minute, we're going to tell you all about the Giants' newest reliever, Ryan Walker. But before we do, this episode is brought to you by my absolute favorite new shorts, Bird Dogs. I look really good in these shorts, and I don't normally, I promise you that. And don't take it from me, take it from my girlfriend who saw me try them on, and she literally said, those are the, she's seen me wear all kinds of different shorts, and she said immediately, these are the best looking shorts you've ever worn. And that was just at first glance. And it'd be one thing if they looked good, but these are also the most comfortable shorts I've ever worn. Their stretchy fabric is just a dream to wear around. Like, comfort is huge to me. You never see me wearing like something uncomfortable. And, sometimes that can be a struggle too, because you don't want to go to like a business meeting looking a little bit too cozy, right? You got to look professional. And that's what I'm saying. The shorts look amazing, and the versatility is off the charts, where you can wear it to work. You can wear it on the golf course. You can wear it hanging around the house, hanging around with friends. Just versatile, comfortable, and great looking. It's the total package, and it's really hard to find, but Bird Dogs has done it. So go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB, and when you enter promo code LockedOnMLB, they will throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. I got my own Yeti-style tumbler from Bird Dogs. It's beautiful, it's high quality, and it's thrown in for free when you go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB and enter promo code LockedOnMLB. All right, here we go. I want to talk about Ryan Walker. We've spent a lot of time discussing Pat Bailey and what that means, but Ryan Walker, I don't want to say it's an equally as important move, but perhaps it is. You just never know how these things are going to play out. He has the potential to be a high leverage arm for the Giants. And so, like I said, in AAA, he's put up a 0.89 ERA, which that league is very offense friendly. And so that is extremely impressive. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Every day is on Monday. We'll be breaking down the debuts of Bailey and Walker and any other moves that get made. And hopefully the Giants able to continue to play good baseball like they did when they swept the Phillies. The Giants play the Marlins tonight at 7:15 Pacific. Anthony DeSclafani on the mound for the Giants, reigning Cy Young Award winner on the mound for the Marlins. I'm telling you, they're due for major regression. Their run differential suggests they should be much worse than what their record is, and so perhaps it starts tonight, although the Giants, they consistently seem to have a hard time with that Marlins team, and Alcantara obviously capable of dominating a game at any given time. You can catch every pitch of the Giants' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Giants. So Ryan Walker is a guy who, let's see, how was he acquired? He was drafted in 2018, so previous regime draft, not the Farhan Zaidi led regime draft. So we've got Casey Schmitt and Cole Waits, who's been optioned back to Sacramento, but now Pat Bailey. Those are your Farhan Zaidi draftees to make it to the major leagues. Now you're starting to see the pipeline, but Ryan Walker, not a draftee under this regime, but nonetheless, I mean, who cares, right? In a way. But what did he do in AAA this season? He struck out 31% of batters, which is good, very good. I don't know what league average is in AAA, but the major league average is like 24 or 23%. Walk rate a little bit high at 10.8%, but that kind of maybe speaks to the difficult pitching environment there. I think he's kind of known for having pretty good command. I mean, when I look through his minor league history, he's always had pretty good command. And the ground ball rate stands out to me at 50%, which is, the major league average is like 43%. And when I look back at some of his stops at other levels, he's always been a guy at 50-ish% or higher. And so a ground ball guy, total funky delivery. And what also stands out to me is that if we go back to last year and this year, he's allowed one home run in about 70 innings or so. Yeah, over 70 innings, he's allowed one homer. And so I attribute it to, the ground ball tendencies, the average launch angle against him. We have this data thanks to him being in AAA, where you get that StatCast data now, is only 3.7 degrees, so just very low average launch angle. So it's hard to hit homers off this type of guy. But also the funky crossfire delivery. In a way, it's like reminds me of Adam Ottavino. The delivery is even a little maybe funkier than Adam Ottavino, but Ottavino is such a crossfire guy. You'll see what I mean when you watch Ryan Walker pitch. He, as a right-handed hitter, the dude is like throwing from way behind you. And so it's a tough at bat. And in AAA, they only batting average on balls in play against him was just 214. And as I said, an 0.89 ERA. He allowed 2 earned runs in 20 and a third innings in a very lively offensive environment. And so this is a guy who could definitely stick, and he replaces Ross Stripling for now. Obviously, Ross Stripling was a starter and will probably be given plenty of more opportunities. As I have said repeatedly, a huge story through the first quarter of the season for the Giants has been basically all of the free agents they signed underperforming, but they're all guys with track records. And so you don't what's more important, the most recent 20 or 30 innings of a pitcher's performance, or the 700 plus innings of their entire career? It's the 700 innings. It's, you weight the most recent 30 somewhat, but when guys are established major leaguers, you just kind of sometimes have to wait for the performance to be there. And look no further than Manny Machado. I swear, go look up the numbers for Manny Machado. Go look up the numbers for Carlos Correa. And so to get overly critical about Ross Stripling, Sean Manaea, Mitch Haniger, imagine, the same thing is happening with other star players around the league. And so it happens. It's baseball. But Ryan Walker, I think, a bullpen that is in need of some help, he definitely can provide that help. And so don't be surprised if he becomes a high leverage option for them at some point. He has that kind of potential from what I can tell. And so good things are happening. We kind of had to skip over the mailbag questions for today. I apologize. I did not expect all these moves. Otherwise, this was going to be a total mailbag episode. Maybe one question quickly here from Aiden, who says, why are the Giants suddenly being so aggressive? And 60 days for an oblique is quite long. Is Ramos on the way out? Why are they suddenly being so aggressive? It is noteworthy, and I want to say it's just because the players are deserving. But in other circumstances, like we saw David VR, for example, last year, just tearing it up for months in AAA, and they didn't promote him until around July, I think. And so I think it was the 4th of July that he debuted. And so I don't know exactly why they're being so aggressive, but I like it. And it may just be they believe in these guys more than they believed in certain other guys. And, it's amazing. Like Pat Bailey, he had never even played in AA, and then he goes there and he only plays in 14 games. They send him to AAA, only 14 games, and now he's in the major league. So I honestly can't answer that question, but I enjoy it more than I enjoy just having to wait and wait and wait. Giants fans have been waiting a long time for truly exciting young talent to come up. We've had some guys, like I said, with Bart and Ramos, but it matters that they kind of just flopped. What Giants fans have been waiting for is guys to come up and perform and become good major league players, especially on the position player side. And they've got some guys, Pat Bailey included, Casey Schmitt included, Luis Matos. Don't be shocked if he gets thrown in there. It's kind of a crowded outfield, so I'm not sure exactly where he fits. But like I said just yesterday with Bailey, if there's an injury in the outfield, it could be Luis Matos who gets the call. And so all of a sudden, you're looking at a lot of youth infused into the major league team, and it makes the games a lot more exciting to watch. And I can't wait to check out Giants versus Marlins tonight. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Everydayers on Monday, you know what we'll be talking about. These debuts and also a series against Miami where I hope that the Marlins have some mean regression where they stop completely outperforming their run differential. It's crazy. The Giants have scored a ton more runs than the Marlins, and they've allowed about the same number of runs, and yet the Marlins have the better record. They have a ridiculous record in one-run games, which, look, maybe there's something to that, but at the end of the day, teams generally don't outperform their run differential in this way. And so I expect regression, and it hopefully starts tonight. You can catch every pitch of the Giants' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Giants. That game is tonight at 7:15 Pacific. Once again, my name is Ben Kaspick. Check me out on Twitter at Ben Kaspick, Kaspick. If you like this show, please consider rating it or leaving a review. It helps me out so much. So thanks in advance, and thank you to everyone who's done so already. I can't wait to be with you again on Monday, really. So thanks again for listening. Enjoy the games. You are now Locked On Giants.